We abide by three criteria. The first is about commitment to global peace with justice. We are very interested in peace, but we are 100 times more interested in peace with justice. And that elastic criteria enables us to address issues such as the continued oppression of the indigenous people of West Papua, the appalling human rights abuses continuing in Sri Lanka, and of course the continuing, unfortunately, cruelty towards the Palestinians. We would also include, of course, the struggle for reconciliation and justice for our own indigenous people. The second criterion concerns evidence of commitment to universal human rights, and the third criteria is about the use of the philosophy and language and practice of non-violence.
Despite the wealth of this country, there are many injustices which are needless, pointless, and quite shocking. And the point of my talk tonight, my plea to all of you, is simple. If you take nothing else away from what I say tonight, please remember to speak against injustice. Do not collaborate with those who inflict injustice. Now, it won't surprise you that I will focus tonight on injustice to refugees, because it is one of the great and willful injustices in our society which runs like a poison through the Australian body politic. When both major political parties have courted political favour by promising cruelty to a particular group of human beings, it is probably the most shameful moment in Australia's political history.
The title of my speech is Celebrating Our Diversity as we build an inclusive society for our own protection, the generations now, and for generations to come in Zimbabwe, because inclusivity really is a shield to all sorts of catastrophes.
As we all know, the United Nations was founded, quoting its founding document, to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. These words can only elicit deep regret when we consider how we have acted to fulfill this aspiration. The Sydney Peace Foundation has always emphasized peace with justice, as Stuart mentioned before. The demands of justice can remain unfulfilled long after peace has been declared. And the Santa Cruz massacre 20 years ago can serve as an illustration. 1 year after the massacre, the United Nations adopted the Declaration on the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance. The Declaration states that acts constituting enforced disappearance shall be considered a continuing offense as long as the perpetrators continue to conceal the fate and the whereabouts of persons who have disappeared and the facts remain unclarified.
Peace is, of course, about the absence of war, of bloodshed, of people being killed, of armed conflict. Peace is very much about that. But peace is about more than that. It's about ensuring that people are not blocked, stuck in a situation of injustice, structural, embedded injustice. That people are not condemned to a life of indignity and poverty on a permanent basis. That people feel they have the opportunity to realize their potential, to develop themselves. They are not blocked by a political, economic structure which marginalizes them.
Well, certainly the Sydney Peace Award has been a turning point in many ways. It's a landmark. And I felt extremely empowered and gratified by all these people who stood up for the board, for the granting of the award, and who were in solidarity. Thousands showed up, and it was amazing.
My talk is called Peace and the New Corporate Liberation Theology. Last year, very courageously, it chose Dr. Hanan Ashrawi of Palestine for the Sydney Peace Prize. And as if that were not enough, this year, of all the people in the world, it goes and chooses me. However, I'd like to make a complaint. My sources inform me that Dr. Ashrawi had a picket all to herself. This is discriminatory, and I demand equal treatment for all peace prizes. So may I formally request the Foundation to organize a picket against me after the lecture?
For me, Earth rights have been my inspiration since I started my work in the very, very early days as a volunteer in the Chipko movement. And I've increasingly started to feel, especially in recent years, that the issue of ecological destruction, whether it be climate chaos, whether it be the disappearance of species, whether it be the water crisis, which you face here and we face intensely in India, every dimension of the ecological crisis is, in fact, the leftover ruins of a war against the earth.
My real Australian education began at the end of the 1960s when Charlie Perkins and his mother Hetty took me to the Aboriginal compound at Jay Creek in the Northern Territory. We had to smash down the gate to get in. The shock at what I saw is unforgettable. The poverty, the sickness, the despair, the quiet anger. I began to recognise and understand the Australian silence. And on shores we are always at war against our first people and those seeking refuge or in someone else's country.
Freedom, peace and justice are values that are universally yearned for by all peoples. Their absence in the lives of individuals, communities and nations clearly diminish us if we stand by and do nothing about their painful absence in such lives and situations. To witness powerlessness in the face of oppression and the senseless suffering and degradation of individuals and communities on a regular basis via our media brings home to us the sad indictment that as humans we are capable of the worst actions possible against our fellow human beings.
While he was with the Taliban, not with the Taliban, with IS, he'd seen terrible, terrible things. He'd seen them kill a baby in front of his own eyes, to punish a village. And so what I feel is that we're teaching kids to use things for communication like cameras, and yet the Australian government and the American government has spent billions and trillions of dollars going over there training boys not much older than Zabi how to use guns and rockets. And so many of them, like is what's happened in Iraq, will end up, because they've only been trained in war and they want to be paid to do war, they'll end up fighting with IS or fighting with the radical Taliban and bringing misery to that country.
So there it is, the Peace Prize.
War is not good for children. War is not good for the environment. War is just awful.